there, everybody. Hank Linderman. Mark Andes is here. Bill McNichol is here. We're going to have a great day. We're going to have a great conversation with our friend Dewey Bunnell from the Grammy-winning, multi-platinum band America. I remember hearing America back in the day when I was in high school. And Horse with No Name had come out. But we'll ask Dewey a little bit about that. Cindy Braun is here. Everybody, please, I want to remind you to share. It makes a big difference. That's a great way you can help. Tony York is here. Tony, hang in there. I'm going to call you in just a moment. We've got a little bit of work to do. I'm glad Tony's here. So, Tony, I hope you have your mobile phone handy. I hope you're ready for me to call in. I'm going to show you a quick look at what's going on outside here at the lake. And boy, doesn't that look beautiful. So this is here at Falls of Rough. It's a beautiful, not too hot day. It's about 82 degrees, but it's really so peaceful and so lovely. And that's what we love about Kentucky. Kentucky's just such a wonderful place. But let's get to our work so that we can get to our fun. Our work begins with looking at the numbers. And so here's the first number we're going to look at is we have crossed over. We are over 187,000 deaths to COVID. And we are number one in the world in deaths and in cases, over 6 million cases. It is just incredible. We are always, it seems, 6 weeks away from fixing this, but we won't do what we need to do, which is, of course, to go Godzilla. That's what we need to do. But for some reason, we're not prepared to do that. Let's look at the states that are in the most trouble. And again, remember, over the weekend, the figures tend to drop a little bit. California had the most amount of new cases yesterday, and the most amount of new deaths appear to be in Texas. That's not getting better anytime soon, and that's just a terrible thing. Let's see what Cindy Braun Franklin says regarding South Dakota. Last 4 days, you know what? I'll look at South Dakota. Obviously, South Dakota as the host to the Sturgis motorcycle rally, which I believe I played with Jerry and Dewey years and years ago. They're at 343, 323, 435, 380 in terms of new cases, which is really something. Cindy, I know you're going to share. And Mary Richardson is here, and I know she's going to share. She usually has to wait until after we finish. But any of you that can do it, please go ahead and do it. Let's real quick, let me see if I can call Tony York, because we got a little bit to talk about with him. Call Tony York, mobile.
Calling Tony York, mobile.
Let's see if he's here.
Hello, Hank.
The lovely and talented Tony York, please.
Yeah, that's me.
That's you. Tony, I wanted to thank you. Tony has been one of the Democrats that, early on was helpful to me when I ran in 2018, and we've become friends since. And Tony has a fantastic restaurant that's just a hidden gem. It's in Glendale, Kentucky, just south of E-Town. Is that right, Tony?
Yep.
Just a little bit south of E-Town. And I call the food that you serve there mental health food.
Well, I never heard it called that, but I take it as a compliment.
It's definitely a compliment. It is definitely a compliment. I had an incredible dinner the other night. The fish and chips with the fresh haddock was just incredible. But the reason we've got Tony here is, and I think I've got a picture I can show everybody. Let's see. I'm going to show the picture of the restaurant. There's Tony's place. But we don't want you to go there just for the food. We want you to go there because you can go and pick up your Hank for Kentucky yard sign. So we've got the yard signs out there, and that's just a great thing. So Tony has a whole bunch of them there. And Pam says hi to you, by the way. Hildegard
Hello.
Pyle says hi.
Hello.
Oh, Tony, this is so great. And Tony, are you guys are open 7 nights or 6 nights a week?
We're closed on Mondays.
Okay.
And on Tuesday We're open only at lunch.
Okay.
Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, all day, and then Sunday at lunch only also.
Okay,
Just
very
call
good.
and make sure you come down to get your sign. Just call and make sure we're there. Or if it's the middle of the day, I'll watch at the front door. I want everyone to have a sign.
Yes, and you've got seating out on the porch, and of course you can do food to go.
Yep, we sure can.
Well,
I want you to come eat with me, but even if you don't eat, come by and get a sign.
definitely. Come by and get a sign. All right. Well, Tony, thanks so much. We're going to get on the phone here in a moment and call Dewey Bunnell. And Tony, thanks so much for everything you do to help us candidates that are out there trying.
Thank you. You have all of my support.
That's so great to hear. All right, Tony, have a great day. Tony is so great, and wonderful place to eat, and the crew there is great too. Let's see. Replying to Cindy. Oh, our COVID numbers were consistently in low double digits for months, and then the rally happened. Oh, wow. We'll see what else happens. Bill McNichol wants to know if Tony York's is seafood. Yes, they do have some seafood, but they've also got, like I say, I kind of call it mental health food. It's comfort food. Makes you feel good to eat the food that Tony fixes. Well, I think it's a little bit early, but I think we can get away with calling Dewey. Let's see what happens when we call him. See if he's ready to rock. And I don't know if I showed you this picture of Dewey. Let's see if we can get him to pick up. I might have called him a little bit.
Hello.
Oh, Dewey, I was worried I called you a little bit early.
That's fine.
Oh, good. Okay. We're
I am
looking
here.
at a picture of you standing on your dock, I'm guessing in Wisconsin. And
Is it a
you've
recent one?
It's a massive fish you're holding in your hand.
Oh, that's my muskie, one of my many muskies.
It's a big fish.
Yeah, it's a muskie. It's, they're game fish up here, and they're kind of the top of the food chain, if you will, in the lakes around northern Wisconsin and other states, of course. There's a northern pike, which is similar to it, but the muskie is kind of the king dog. And there, you get one muskie for every 50 northerns. Or they say it's the fish of 1,000 casts, the muskie. So I've been pretty fortunate living up here. Are we on air now?
Oh, we're on the air.
We are on the air. Okay. But I learned a lot of it was on the job training, the fishing up here. I've always liked to fish, and my family lived briefly in Omaha, Nebraska for a couple of years when I was a kid, and we would go up into Minnesota to the lakes and catch bluegill and perch and crappie and so on. And so I picked up where I left off as a kid when we got this place up here 18 years ago. We have a little cottage on a lake. I know you have one too on a lake, right?
That is absolutely true. In fact, I almost always show a picture of what's going on at the lake. So I've got a live camera so everybody can get a quick moment of peace depending on where they are, because there's just nothing like living on a lake, is there?
No, it's really a special thing. And I realized when we first visited, my wife Penny's originally from Wisconsin, and she wanted me to see what it was like when she was a kid. And we visited and went to some other lakes, and she rented this was a vacation rental. And after a week here staring out at the lake as we drove out the driveway, broken-hearted already, we were leaving. We said, God, wouldn't it be great? And we got in touch with the owner. He says, oh, yeah, it's for sale. Everything's for sale. So we ended up, we were fortunate enough to buy this place, and we've been here for 18 years, like I said, now. And the quarantine has even made it more concentrated fun at the lake.
Yes, but now I do have to ask, there's a good-sized lake behind you. Now, that is all your property that we can see in this picture?
I'm not sure which. Oh, yeah, it's called Spring Lake. I shouldn't give away my location. But
Right.
It's called Spring Lake. There are any number of lakes called Spring Lake, by the way. It's kind of generic. But about a 260, 280-acre lake, not super deep. In fact, not deep at all, relatively speaking. It feeds into a chain of lakes up here called the Cisco chain. I won't get too detailed, but there's a nice creek babbling along the side of the property because it's feeding into that chain, and it's called Spring Lake because it is actually spring fed, but it has other tributaries that come into it. So but yeah, that's it, and it's all undeveloped forest around us, which is the whole concept. Back when we rented it was for some seclusion and privacy and things, and I've always been a outdoor guy, and I do like that, and it serves well for when we come off the road after, as you well know, being a road dog yourself over the years and actually playing with us, fortunately for us. You know, it's a great place to get away, get out of L.A., get out of the city, wherever things are you put upon by, and I just love the air and just very, very fortunate, grateful. Top of my gratitude list is having this place.
You just get so connected to nature, and if you're like me, I get up pretty early and make my first cup of coffee, and I'm out on the porch just looking at the water and listening to the birds wake up. And
very much so. Yeah, you're drawn to it, and I certainly am as well. I walk that dog you see on the. Oh wait, the one on the dock I think was a visiting.
Okay, I think we're back. Let's see. And I have to make an adjustment to my camera, but I'm going to put Dewey's picture back up there. We'll find out what happened. Sorry about this, everybody. We had a bit of a technological meltdown. Let's see how it's going. It looks like it's happening. We're back. Okay, so we're going to call Dewey back one more time. I have to do a little bit of homework here because, well, let me see if I can get Dewey on. Let's start with that.
Hello.
Hey, Dewey, I think we're back.
All right. So
Well,
the woods must have scared away our signal out here.
I think so. Hey, I'm hearing an echo if you've got Facebook on.
I don't have Facebook on. I'm just on the hard line.
Okay.
So is it still echoing?
Yeah, are you on the speakerphone?
No.
Okay.
I'm just on regular.
Well, I guess I'll just have to not talk as much as you.
What if I move over here? Is that any better?
I don't know.
Hello? Testing. 1, 2.
Let me call you right back one more time. It might be in the line. So I'm going to call you right back. Sorry, folks. This is what happens.
Dewey Bunnell
Hank Linderman.
from the north woods of Wisconsin to Kentucky.
From the lovely Falls of Rough of Kentucky. Well, so let's talk about this road dog thing. First of all, I was never a road dog until I got the call from you guys, I think, to sub for Michael Woods.
Oh, I thought you'd been on the road a bit more than that before that. I guess you were ensconced in your studio for most of that time.
I think I was. And the first time out on the road with you, first of all, the very first gig I did with you all was because Michael and his wife were expecting a baby, and the baby was expected on Halloween or the 30th or something of October.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Yeah, Bodie. He's in college now.
Yeah, I know. So this was a while back. And I got a call from Jerry. You guys were playing, I think, in San Diego, and I was planning on coming down just so I could watch the show because I was still learning all the songs. And Jerry called, and you know how Jerry is when things are really confusing. He gets very calm sounding.
Oh, and so you knew something was up.
Well, I didn't know Jerry that well. So he said, "Hank, what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just waking up from a nap. I'm getting ready to get in the car and head down to see you guys." And he goes, "Oh, great. You were coming anyway." He said, "Well, bring a guitar if you don't mind, because Woodsy's not going to make it. His wife went into labor 2 weeks early, so he's not going to be there. God. So I ran down, and you guys said, hey, we can run through anything you want, but it being a Southern California show, you were surrounded by a bunch of friends, so that was not going to happen. And it was quite an experience to have never played with the band, but step out on stage with you guys for an hour and 45.
It's always amazing to me, and you're one of those kind of guys, but the kind of guys, musicians who can do that, step in and just go for it. I knew you knew pretty much the structure of songs and so on, but I would be just deathly afraid. You know me, I'm not that versed at improvising or sort of in.
I'm pretty sure what this is
the Republicans.
I'm pretty sure. I am pretty sure.
Do you want to call back again?
Well, we're back on now.
Oh, we are back on.
We are back on.
Hey, after a brief break, we are all back. Hi, folks.
Hi, folks. Well, and then the other part of the story was pretty soon after that, we went on a road trip, and we got on an airplane or a bus. I think we got on a bus and got on an airplane, wound up somewhere, and got into the hotel at 11 p.m. or 11:15. And I noticed we hadn't eaten. And nobody was commenting about that, but I was the new guy, so I kept quiet. And you announced, I guess we're eating at Vendy's.
Vendy's. The vending machine dinner. How often we all have to feast on Vendy's when we get into hotels too late, nothing's open. Or if we're out in the middle of nowhere, which sometimes is the case depending on hotel bookings.
Yes.
So you had a nice bag of something crunchy and a candy bar.
Yes. The food thing was always a challenge. That's always a challenge. Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit. Do you want to talk a little bit about politics?
As best as I can, as frustrating as it is these days, and probably always has been. Certainly, well, you're the expert. You're the soon to be representative from your district there. So,
well,
but
hopefully
we can talk a little bit. I hope so.
Well, first of all, how has your life changed? I mean, all of our lives have changed because of the virus. And, the thing I maintain is that we are not dealing with the virus properly. We could shut the country down for 6 weeks, 2 months, pay everybody to stay home, and that would be that. But we don't seem to be willing to do it.
Yeah, all the money we've thrown at it already in spits and spurts hasn't. One concentrated effort is what you're sort of saying might have helped immensely. Yeah, I don't know. Granted, we are all in a predicament here that is very hard to see a way out beyond the vaccine. I mean, which was always a gray area. A lot of people don't even like vaccines. But as far as getting this country and the world up and running, there's not too many game plans that seem to be working, and we're at odds with each other in a lot of the ways of the medical recommendations with the masks and with social distancing. And as you know, I'm somewhere, as Jerry would say, left. I'm somewhere left of Joan Baez, politically speaking. So I adhere to. I try to follow the recommendations and try to see if I can help other people in the sense that while protecting myself and protecting them. It seems like a no-brainer on the mask business for me.
It really does.
Even if I didn't have to, like we have mandatory mask regulations up here too. A lot of people, maybe 10% nowadays. It's actually pretty good. May not be wearing them, but I understand that freedom of choice business. But I would be wearing a mask personally. This is just me again, regardless of regulation or not, because of the two choices, to wear or not to wear. And if I'm being selfish and worried about myself, I'm wearing the mask, let alone helping other people who, in the event that I became asymptomatic and positive, I'd be helping them. Well, I think it's a win-win to wear a mask, and I don't understand turning that into a political statement. But you've heard all this already, I'm sure.
We run into it here. You're planning on voting this year, I'm guessing.
Oh, yes, every year. And we've always voted absentee because of my travel. As you know,
Right.
the rock and roll business, half the time we're never home. I've always voted absentee. So, and I understand the difference between that and vote by mail as a choice. But, yeah, I always vote.
Is this the longest time you've been off the road?
Absolutely. In 50 years. By the way, just to bang our own gong, the band America is now in its 50th year formally. We started in 1970. So you can imagine this was to be a giant celebratory year for us with numerous box sets. We've got an official biography out, a book. We've got DVDs, all kinds of goodies. Not to mention we did have a nice touring schedule, including Europe and so on. So I'm not real thrilled with that, but we obviously precedent is that we all be safe. We shut down these shows. We actually pulled the plug on ourselves on March 11th, which was a day or so before the national emergency was declared. But we already saw the writing on the wall, and we really didn't want to. We're in the high-risk category in our 60s, so we decided. It was kind of unceremonious. We had flown into, the show was in West Virginia. We'd flown into whatever the city was close enough and driven in, got into the hotel room. The whole while we
should be back.
Are we back?
I think we are back.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Dewey Bunnell.
Yeah.
Fuzzy? Is it fuzzy? Is it breaking up?
I think we're good. The red light is on. So, yeah, you're going to have to work on Sundays. That's another long story that maybe when you come back, we'll explain that. But I wondered if you would you be interested in playing some Name That Republican?
Name That Republican. Well, I try not to get too familiar with those guys, but I can try. Actually, I say that, but we're glued to the TV until our eyes turn red and our ears fall off. We do it too much, and we've actually started to stop watching. But I have a fairly good working knowledge of a lot of the big players.
Well, let's see if you can. And by the way, we're getting some folks from Rome chiming in. Giancarlo, hi from Pamela Culeza from Delaware.
Wow.
Tito Idrovo P. By the way, everybody, please do us a favor and share this broadcast. We do want you to share it. If you know how to do that, just share it. And because when you do that, an angel gets their wings. Well, Dewey, let's play a little bit of Name That Republican, okay? And
alrighty.
Some of these are tough because they don't sound the way they sound today. So most of them are talking about President Trump. And by the way, every time I say Trump, I'm supposed to play this. But that's the Wilhelm scream, right?
That's pretty appropriate, yeah.
Oh, someone from Ecuador. Tito Idrovo P is from Ecuador.
We used to play Ecuador quite a bit. Quito and Guayaquil.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful country, actually.
So here's your first Name That Republican. You ready?
Okay.
Donald Trump is a delusional narcissist and an orange-faced windbag.
Oh, yes. Rand Paul.
From the lovely state of Kentucky. That is him.
Yeah, one of your guys.
One of our guys. Now, this is a difficult one. This is someone who was at the RNC telling us that the coronavirus was finished. And so he's a government official. So he's telling us that the coronavirus is over, and he's talking about it like it's in the past.
It was awful. Health and economic impacts were tragic. Hardship and heartbreak were everywhere.
That's that finance guy. Used to be on one of the finance economic shows. Kudlow.
You got it.
Wasn't
Larry
it?
Kudlow. Exactly correct.
Well, I tell you who's not going to know these names is the guy in Ecuador.
He's not going to know these
Or
names.
the
Let's
folks
hope
in
not.
Rome or Italy, yeah.
Let's hope not. Well, they let's see. They might know. I have one they might know. Let's see. They're going to know this one. Now, by the way, I don't know if you know, one of the Trump sons was brought in into some sort of lawsuit into Trump Industries, and he apparently took the fifth. I'm not sure which son it was. So see if you can guess who this is discussing the fifth.
Is that just the day that happened?
It was last week. It was last week.
Probably Eric.
It was probably Eric. And this is a Republican discussing the Fifth Amendment. See if you can guess who this is.
There's people taking the Fifth Amendment. You see, the mob takes the Fifth. If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
Isn't that the guy, the blowhard in the White House?
It might be. Yeah, that one's kind of an easy one. That was.
I think that's that's the son's dad,
yes.
Donald.
That is him. That is him. And I've got it's the Donald. Yes, indeed.
You have to do the screen. Oh boy, Hank.
Well, one more, okay, and then we're done with this. One more.
Sounds good.
Here we go. And there's two versions of this. This is back in the day, the initial response to Donald Trump. Here you go. Whoops. Let me go back. What? I pushed the wrong button, Dewey. Here we go.
Donald Trump is everything we hear and teach our kids not to do in kindergarten.
That was the ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley.
That is correct. And here's what she sounds like these days.
What about his truthfulness? Did you think he was a truthful person?
Yes, in every instance that I dealt with him, he was truthful, he listened, and he was great to work with.
Yes, she sounds
so there
a little
you go.
different.
That's it in a nutshell. Say one thing one day and say something another, which is hard to believe, hard to fathom that they could change their opinion that.
Well, it shows that they
quickly.
know. They knew what they were dealing with. It does show that.
Yeah, and there must be some kind of Kool-Aid they actually are drinking once they've gotten in there.
Yes.
Because to go that far, that spread between the feeling before and then after, pretty crazy.
Yes. Well, Dewey, I also need to personally thank you because you've helped with the campaign, you've contributed, and there are a lot of people who are listening who have contributed, and so I have to thank all of you that are listening, and I really need to thank Dewey and Penny for helping out and Dewey for showing up, and I hope we get to do this again, Dewey. I hope you would come back.
Well, yeah, I'd love to. I thought we were going to talk about music and everything else, but
we got a few more minutes.
next
Do you want
time.
to talk about some music a little bit?
Well, we don't have not our music. I thought we're all music lovers, and you and I from the same generation, more or less.
Well,
we're raised on all the good stuff.
I've got a guitar question then. What was your first guitar?
Oh, my first guitar was a banger of. It was an acoustic guitar called the Hawk, and it was from some, God knows, lesser company. And then I also had an electric guitar. I lived in Biloxi, Mississippi at the time. It was one of those knockoff kind of, looked semi like a Fender Jaguar or something, but wasn't, with a lot of chrome hardware and things that didn't do anything. I mean, we made the first album on Yamaha, pretty cheap young Yamaha acoustics, as you may or may not know. And
I didn't. Probably the F-160s, which were the standard kind of a copy of a Martin.
Yes, I think you're right. Or for 180s, or such things as 180s.
Probably.
But anyway, they were good. They were reliable. They worked. We had to mic them on stage, sitting on stools, and sometimes they'd feedback and everything. But we've been through the gamut of guitars, as you can imagine, over 50 years, and got some good guitars, and some worked well. I didn't particularly like the Ovation era, but we did because they were electrified acoustics and worked. Our show is split between some electric-based songs, as you know. You played in this band,
Mm-hmm.
but we focus on our vocal harmonies and acoustic guitars, I think, a little more heavily than a lot of the electric stuff. But there's a lot of dynamics up there in our show.
You know, someone commented in the comments that there's some similarities between America and the Eagles, and I've worked with both bands. And I believe you guys predate the Eagles a bit. And didn't Glenn say something like that they were aiming to be like America?
Well, they were, yes, we actually, our first album came out before the Eagles, and we had met Elliot Roberts, who ended up managing David Geffen and Elliot Roberts. We started in London, England. He was over there, and I always will remember him saying, yeah, we got this band. We knew him and loved him, or at least from afar, Elliot Roberts and David Geffen, because they managed Crosby, Stills and Nash and Neil Young and Joni Mitchell, and those were superheroes of ours at the time. And he said, we got this band we're putting together called the Eagles. And I thought, oh, that sounds cool. We'll have to listen to them. Of course, within months, we were being managed by Geffen and Roberts ourselves, and we're there in the offices in L.A. We flew to L.A. We moved out of our little cowman's cottage at a farm where the three of us were living and parked ourselves in groovy L.A. and actually lived up at Geffen's house for quite a while we were getting settled in. But met those guys. And they were great. I loved Glenn. He was a nice guy, a pal. I know they were very talented. But to answer that question about us before them, we made our album before them, but they were established musicians of sorts, still struggling. I know that Glenn was in a thing called Long Branch Penny Whistle with J.D. Souther. They had a duo, and they ended up backing Linda Ronstadt before they became the Eagles. But to cut to the chase, their album did come out, and we were all up for the Best New Artist Grammy that year. And the one and only time we topped the Eagles was we did win the Best New Artist Grammy that year with, and it was quite a field because Loggins and Messina were up, Harry Chapin, John Prine, the Eagles, and ourselves. It was a pretty good singer-songwriter gang there.
Yes, pretty good.
But I love the Eagles, and I'm good friends with Joe Walsh still, and there's just their music speaks for itself. Terrific. And yes, you've worked with a bunch of those guys, right?
Well, Timothy, I worked on the last Eagles record, and I worked on Don Henley's last record, and in fact, I got to record Mick Jagger for Don Henley's record.
No kidding! Oh my God!
Well, you probably knew Mick Jagger.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
No, I didn't. I didn't know Mick Jagger at all. I met the Beatles. We had George Martin producing us, so I met the Beatles individually over the years, and I know Ringo pretty well. But I never met Ronnie Wood. We knew in the Faces time because we used to open for the Faces in London pre him joining the Stones. But I've never met Mick Jagger or Keith Richards. I've been in a house that they were in after a party to the big rager in L.A., and then they were somewhere else. But I do love the Stones, too. I mean, I love all that music. I mean, those guys wrote some songs, I'll tell you what, because we always aspired to be singer-songwriters. Brian Wilson, Lennon McCartney, as we've spoken many times over the years. Beatles music and Beach Boy music.
Jeff McAvoy is here, by the way, and he says he mentions that I recorded with Timothy, and I have, yes, of course, I recorded a whole bunch with Timothy Schmidt from the Eagles, but I met Timothy because of you and Jerry.
Yeah, well, we toured quite a bit with Poco Bills, and them opening for us, and us going to Europe together, and Timothy was, of course, in Poco, and we were good pals back in those days. And then we kind of drifted, as people do. I moved away from L.A. anyway, and Timothy moved on to the Eagles to replace Randy Meisner, of course. But Timothy has sang on many of our records over the years. We'd always need a high harmony voice, and boy, what a great voice Timothy has. And he's a good friend. I like to call him a good friend, although I haven't seen him in a while either.
Well, that was one of the great things recording with you guys, because you were first of all, I learned a tremendous amount just being around you and Jerry. And then you remember we did the Hourglass record up in Omaha, and Carl Wilson came up and stayed with us, which was just a treat. And
what a special time that was. Yeah, good old Carl.
Good old Carl. Miss him every day. And maybe we can quickly tell the Sunday story. Carl had been working with us, and
we were all living in that farmhouse that we were put up in.
Yes,
remember?
And it was January and freezing cold.
Yeah, it was a winter.
And I remember you in particular were getting up pretty regularly and going out and running, and it was 3 degrees out in the snow.
I was in my jogging period, and I wasn't going to break my tradition behind the counter.
The guy behind the curtain. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. I think I'm back. I'm back. We will see. We might be back. I'm just going to pretend that we are.
You looking for that red light?
I've got the red light now. Red light.
Well, we were finishing up with the Carl Wilson story.
Yes, indeed.
When Carl came out to Omaha.
Let's see if we're going. It looks like we might be, but I think we're going. I'm going to pretend that we are going. Yes, we're going, damn it. We're back. Rich Campbell says we're back. So we're back.
Hey, all right, Rich.
All right,
Yay, Rich.
Well, so Carl was, we were recording on a digital machine that I had never used before. And Carl made a comment while he was singing, "Oh, this is a digital machine, huh?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, he says, "Have you had any trouble with it?" And I said, "Thanks so much. Thank you for that, Carl." Well, he finished up that day's session. I think the next morning he flew out. So on the weekend, I was trying to clean up the work that we had done, and I was with the recording engineer and who was there at American Gramophone Records. I can see him, and I can't remember his name, and I'm so sad because he was a super nice guy. Anyway, we practiced. We were erasing things we didn't need, and we did one of the erasures, and 8 tracks disappeared, including Carl Wilson, and on a particular song. And I had to go back to talk to you and Jerry and very soberly explain, in spite of being warned that you guys did not work on Sundays, I explained, we're going to be behind schedule now, so I'm sorry, you're going to have to work on Sundays.
I have to work. Yeah, I remember. We could tell you were so kind of, it stressed you to have to tell us, "I'm sorry to say you guys are going to have to work on Sunday."
Oh,
we've used that line a lot over the years.
And you guys howled at me. You were terrible. You howled at me. You also did.
I was going to say, we did get some good Carl Wilson takes on those songs.
Sure did.
The song "Garden of Peace." I love Carl's voice on that, and he was such a stand-up guy, sweetheart of a man who, he was the Beach Boys were kind of they walked us through a lot of important parts of our growth in the business, putting us on in front of them for many tours. They're like mentors. That's the word I was looking for.
Yes.
And Carl was certainly one of those. And for him to just say, "I'm going to fly out on my own dime and come stay with you guys in your farmhouse in Omaha, and you can use me however you want." I mean, what a guy, huh?
It was very sweet. It was really fun. Well, I don't want to test fate anymore. Dewey, thank you so much for being here. And please, let's do this again. And I hope you get to go back on the road sometime soon. Who knows when?
Well, I certainly do, too. I mean, we're really chomping at the bit. But Hank, you know how much we love you and wish you well in the coming campaign and election. I mean, we're in the campaign right now.
Yes, we are.
And let's get together as soon as we can, and good luck with everything.
Dewey, thank you so much.
All right, buddy.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So, yes, Ron Dabbs was the engineer, and I remembered Ron, and he was a sweetheart. It was just wonderful. Well, anyway, thank you all so much. Sorry for all the technical details. I'm getting really good at turning stuff on and off and restarting it, but I think this is why we need rural broadband out here in rural Kentucky and rural America. So anyway, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for all that you do. The contributions have been coming in. I really appreciate that. And I just want to remind you all, we're going to be tempted to get very angry. And when we get angry, we don't want to act like damn fools. We want to get ourselves stirred up to do what we need to do this year. We need to vote. We need to get our friends to come out and vote. We need to do the right thing to save our country. Thank you all.